Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Ophir Gottlieb, CEO of Capital Market Laboratories, to discuss the combination of AI and finance and what it means for the everyday investor. Ophir, it's great to see you. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill. It's really nice to see you too.
CML, really super interesting what you guys have done. You've successfully integrated real-time financial economic stock chart and statistical analysis into OpenAI's ChatGPT. Explain to us how that works.
Yeah, so at a high level, I'd say we've done what you said, and it's important to know that ChatGPT stopped learning as of September 2021, so it has no knowledge of the world after September 2021, and that is ultimately the problem in using it for finance, because finance is every day, every second even. You could say that Google's Bard does have, for example, hypothetically real-time data, but what really started our epiphanies and why I think this matters is we had to understand and really leverage, like, on the one hand, what ChatGPT is exceptional at, and there are a few things, but equally as important and also as valuable is understanding like where its potential weaknesses are. And then you have to sort of address both. And that requires a set of decision trees and processes where we're using its AI, we're using our AI. There's a sort of handshake that's going on between our machine learning and its machine learning. And the results are profound from what we're seeing, and our conception of what is and what is not possible gets radically altered. And I know that was a fairly esoteric answer. I can give an example, but I think at a high level.
So let me ask you, if ChatGPT has only learned up until September 2021, how are you able to do real-time analysis using today's data? How did you bring it up to 2023?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a technical a hoop to jump through, where you're using ChatGPT's expertise, which there are many. One is understanding text, context, and the other is writing code, right? So those are two things that I can plainly say ChatGPT has and will change the world. So how do we do it? Well, we're allowing it access to real-time data in our database and various other ways that we store data by understanding the context of the question, giving a handshake to our machine learning, which then says, oh, okay, this is the context of the question. Thank you. Let me deliver the data that's relevant, that's real time to answer your question. So that's sort of a non-technical, but really reasonable explanation of what's happening. We borrowed the context from ChatGPT, we tied in with our AI, we take that context and deliver back the real-time data.
And from my understanding, the everyday investor can access this tool for free on your website.
Absolutely. So as of right now, it's completely free. You don't even need to enter your email address for the first few prompts. And then hopefully it sets investors on the sort of path of discovery, which is what we're really pushing. It's this combination of ChatGPT on the one hand and domain expertise and relying on other ML on the other side that really makes it engaging. And ultimately, Jill, as you know, we are in the finance industry, and we're not in the art industry. We're not in the architectural industry. Our industry is based on, can you make money or not? And so that's ultimately the goal of it. It's not to kind of be cool. There's enough cool out there. It's really, how do you combine this technology with domain expertise to help people make money? So that's what we're doing, or we're trying to do.
Can this tool be expanded upon, or this is just the first inning of it, is what it sounds like?
Yeah, it's not even the first inning. They're not even putting mustard on the hot dog yet. So I would say that when we first released it, I think of product as sort of mediocre, good, very good, excellent, and exceptional. And in finance, you have to get into the excellent or exceptional range. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. So what we first released was mediocre. It just starts, and then it starts learning on itself. So we have these periods, long periods of frustration. Like you asked a very good question, like, how do you make it relevant to today, right? So we have these long periods of frustration, these little epiphanies. And then as it continues to learn, and as our machine learning starts to learn with it, and we start to train it, the periods of frustration shorten and the periods of epiphany grow. And so it's these epiphanies that are delivering the utility, I would say.
And do you ChatGPT, to your point, we haven't put the mustard on the hot dog yet, but as we're using it for data in the finance industry, it sounds as if industries that are so data dependent can learn to leverage this as well.
Absolutely. It's the only thing that ChatGPT, or large language models in general, and OpenAI's ChatGPT is the best. The only thing that limits them is our own cognitive biases. Like when you start using it, you start to realize, start coding, you start to realize that you don't ask like, what is possible? You start to realize, like, is there anything that isn't possible? And so any industry with any form of data, text or otherwise, it can absolutely be improved upon. I mean, 10x, 100x, 1000x in very short periods of time. Any industry, doesn't just have to be finance.
a little off topic from discussing in terms of fintech, but you have authored work on the ethical use of AI. Give us some thoughts around that, because as fascinating as it is, the responsible use of it, the ethical inputs and the outputs are, it has to be adhered to. You need ethics, or else it just isn't going to, the cat's out of the bag already, but.
It's a really, really difficult question. How do you make sure the information you're providing on the one end is using the full capabilities of it? Someone asks it a question, a conversational question, and it's responded to. It doesn't just have to be in finance, right? And then you say, well, how do I make sure the response that I'm giving, or that it's giving, I'm now speaking on OpenAI's behalf, I suppose, how do I make sure that the response I'm printing to the screen is actually ethical? I actually don't have a good answer for that. I'm very happy to say that since we're so domain focused in finance, we can easily kind of put the guardrails in. But how does OpenAI do that, or other large language models do that for any subject, not just finance? I don't know. And I think I don't know might be you can't, but I'm not prepared to say that yet. But if you're really looking at sort of openness to everything, I don't know. I don't know how you keep it ethical. What defines ethical? So.
Well, that's true. It's all arbitrary. It's certainly subjective when you think about morality, but certainly a conversation that you and I are going to continue to have. Ophir, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks, Jill.